You know the drill. What is Scissor Seven even about? Well, to keep it brief, the story begins when Daibo, this blue bird who is basically the universe's Reagan, finds a guy washed up on shore and finds out the guy has lost his memories. So Daibo does the moral thing in the situation and gaslights the guy, who we'll call Seven, into becoming an assassin by telling Seven he'll be able to find a way to regain his memories by becoming a top 100 killer. But in reality, Daibo just wants to use Seven to make hella money. And I'm not gonna lie, this formula that Scissor Seven uses is really entertaining, because some episodes will just be about Seven fumbling the bag and not being able to get the assassination done because he's way too empathetic or he's just outmatched in strength. For example, Seven was hired by this women's rights activist to assassinate a bum who likes to collect women's underwear. And to be honest, if I was an assassin, I'd think that's a fair request, because in the first place, your job is to kill whoever, no matter how good of a person the target is. You chose this trade, so that's just how it is. But if I find out my target is moving like the jobless reincarnation MC, then that's just an added bonus at that point. But Seven, on the other hand, he decided to protect Rudius from the women's rights activist because he felt sorry for bro, and the women's rights activist straight up crashed out on Seven. It's actually crazy how Seven had an extreme difficulty fight with a granny. Like, why is she using key blasts? What's going on here? And why was the animation cooking so hard? Blue Lock needs to take notes. But in all seriousness, when I watched this episode, I was thinking Seven has no shot getting into the top 100 killers list at this point. Bear in mind, he's like ranked 12,000 or something currently. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so some episodes will just seem random and funny like the episode I mentioned above, but it all ties in nicely when the atmosphere goes from 1 to 100 and shit gets serious. And by serious, I mean fighting a planetary level cyborg who is threatening to destroy your island serious. But before I give you the play-by-play for this 10 out of 10 fight, let me cook up a bit more context. And it all begins when a rich housewife puts a hit on her husband and orders Seven to chop off his balls for having an affair. But before Seven can do that, he has to get through the indestructible virgin bodyguard and his super move, the solid as gold 7-day headlock, where bro literally has you in a headlock for 7 days. And I'm not gonna lie, that montage was killing me. But the vibe went from 1 to 100 real fast when the bodyguard got hit by a nuke from this literal Dark Souls boss. It's at this point that Daibo realizes how cooked everyone is, so him and Seven flee the island. In the meantime, characters from previous episodes step in to protect the island. You had the cat and the dog who dumped the cat because he realized that they couldn't screw each other, team up, and Mad Bark looked like he was about to cook when he spammed his sound waves through the guitar, but the Prince of Stan dashed that heavenly OST right back at him. So now that the Prince of Stan has got his meal taken care of, it was time for the Chinese Huzz to get involved. And in a previous episode, it was established that if the Chuzz touches you, then you're paralyzed, and this applies especially to someone who spends all their time chroming up to the point of cyberpsychosis instead of socializing with other human beings. But the Prince of Stan proved to be too Sigma for these shenanigans, so after he snagged a kiss from the Chinese Huzz cancer patient, she got yeeted into space by his goon bubble and then said some cold one-liner like, "Women are nothing but trouble," which in turn summons the women's rights activist. And this was crazy, I'm not gonna lie, because I thought Seven was just a weakling for going hit for hit with Granny. But it turns out that after the Prince of Stan scanned Granny's power level, that she is simply just her, and even the Prince of Stan is Goth Lufold. And she was really putting in the work. Look at her deflecting that nuke, god damn. But at the end of the day, she's just a normal human, and the Prince of Stan is a cyber psycho, so she could only deflect so many nukes. But before we get to Granny getting cooked, we need to change POVs. Currently, Seven and the gang are on a boat sailing towards Epstein Island, where the bodyguard is begging Seven to go back and protect the island. He even offered bro free bags, and knowing how empathetic Seven is, bro was gonna fold regardless. But Daibo, on the other hand, knew how cooked the island was more than most because of how this world is set up. You see, in this world, you have three big players. You have the Red Nose Shaolin Warriors, the Cyber Psychos from Night City, and the NPCs. And if you're an NPC, then you might as well off yourself in this situation. But when Seven said, "How will I ever know if I don't try?" that gave Bossman Chicken Vietnam flashbacks to his backstory. So Bossman passed over Seven's sword that he's been gatekeeping since he found him on the shore, because Seven's scissors already got cooked previously. And with that, the Bossman's son Zhao Fei grabbed Seven's balls and they flew to the island to run back the fade. So just in the nick of time, Seven's elderly Riz kicks into gear and he saves the women's rights activist. And the legendary fade continues. We even had the Red Note Huz who was always stalking Seven join in as well, as Zhao Fei who can bulk up into his Liver King mode, and Dai Bo who was slowly but surely climbing those stairs to join in on the Jujutsu Kaisen jumping. But the Prince of Stan was still holding his own. Who was Bro's Ripperdoc, because I gotta know at this point. Okay. I'm sorry, I'll stop with the cyberpunk brain rot. I've been a bit addicted lately. But yeah, who does this guy think he is? Does he think he's Kaido? Because with the amount of people Bro's been boxing at this point, it's starting to feel like that. He's just been taking back-to-back W's. It even got to the point where Seven had to impale himself with his own scissors just to kill off Stan. But don't worry, it gets worse. In true Cyber Buns fashion, the Prince of Stan had surgery done to give him a second heart. So at this point, everyone's cooked, deep fried, sizzled. Or so you thought. You see, Seven impaling himself actually reawakened his memory. So he got taken over by his former King Von counterpart and showed us what a real Red Note warrior can do with a sword. Seven's powers allow him to break his sword into pieces and mend it back together at will, leading to some naughty choreography in the fights. And most importantly, this ability bypasses the Prince of Stan's shield, allowing for awakened Seven to Lodith, this pay-to-win merchant, and send him blasting off the island like he's a member of Team Rocket. And yeah, that's the end of the fight. The island lives to see another day and King Von left Seven's soul after he collapsed. So let's pick back up where we left off. After Seven sent the Prince of Stan flying back to Night City, we get to witness the Bossman Chicken's dad lore. And it all begins in the summer of 83, where his friend Dai Fei signs up for a cockfight in the hopes of saving his son from the fate his wife suffered, being used for last night's iftar. Basically, fighter chickens don't get eaten, so if Dai Fei can prove he can fight, he can get little Jimmy a scholarship to Blue Lock Academy. But first he has to go through Sam Sulek, the Chicken King. So once the bell rings, Dai Fei gets speed blitzed into the barrier because he was unprepared, but then he claps back with some weaving from twisting his veiny dick, which lets him drill it into the Chicken King. But these tiny hits weren't getting Dai Fei anywhere, so he took a gamble and baits the Chicken King into sliming him so he'd get a chance to blind the Chicken King in his eye. Now Dai Fei is able to go to King Chicken's blind spot and start breaking Bro's fingers, and the crowd was going wild. Yo, is that the giraffe from One Piece? You know the fight is cooking when people from other series start popping up, but King Chicken couldn't let this disrespect slide any longer, so he used the performance enhancing drugs the pimp gave him to keep his 1000 win streak alive. But even though Dai Fei was getting his back blown out, he survived with a 3-minute timer, meaning the match should have been stopped, but it didn't, because humans have no sympathy for chickens. They just want to see chickens fight or turn the whole flock into a mukbang. And during this whole live slaughter, Bossman Chicken had front row tickets to the execution as he was held back in a blind rage by the humans. So after watching Dai Fei get slimed by the Chicken King, he picks up some sunglasses off the ground, which gives him the confidence to avenge his dead friend to get little Jimmy that Blue Lock Academy scholarship. But we're not off to a good start, as Bossman sticks out his middle finger to instantly rage bait King Chicken into squeezing the life out of Bro, whilst he clowns on Bossman, and to make things worse, Bossman gets sent flying into the nastiest shot I've ever seen. Like, why is fire being injected into Bro's ass? Shit looks so painful I had to clench my cheeks. And King Chicken even destroyed Bossman's glasses, so now his back has been demolished and he has no aura. But this won't stop Bossman from pulling up another FU, and at this point Bossman has to be plotting something, because getting kneed into the heavens and then receiving an elbow straight to the depths of the Earth's core for the fun of it is nefarious. And after all this punishment, Bossman still wouldn't go down, and this had the Chicken King tweaking because the ringleader threatened to cook Bro into a Sunday roast if the fight took took longer than 5 minutes, or else he would lose a lot of money from the gambling addicts. Boss Man's efforts weren't in vain because he managed to steal the Chicken King's ashwagandha whilst he was getting slimed. And as a blue chicken, you're the weakest type of chicken there is. So if someone as jacked as the Chicken King has to use Tren as a last resort, then a plump little guy like Boss Man is gonna get his guts splattered across the Colosseum after taking one serving. And he almost sees the pearly white gates, but Dai stops his soul from fading away and stops his body from humping that poor wall. So through the power of friendship and anime, Boss Man gets his stat booster and the Black Air Force crash out energy is crazy. Bro really remembered he used to be a dinosaur, and now he's moving like Ultra Instinct Goku as he brushes off King Chicken's attack like it's nothing. The switch up is diabolical, so King Pheasant proves he's not on Fruit Watch by building up his ki to form wings and a fire fist. But I'm not gonna lie, when I witnessed this transformation, all I was thinking was that bro is 100% addicted to PEDs, because this guy was chatting about how he only uses it as a last resort, but that's clearly just an excuse because I've never seen this form before. But it doesn't matter because Boss Man pieces up King Chicken regardless with some goated animation, and as King Chicken's on the verge of losing, he rants about how the cycle of eating chickens never ends. Once a fighter chicken gets devoured by Isagi and Blue Lock Academy, they are cooked. Literally, this shit was so emotional I almost turned into a vegetarian. But Boss Man's not done. He's gonna cut out the source of the cancer, so he dashes straight towards the pimp. But the pimp's played these games before and brings out his double pump. But unfortunately for him, that method got patched in season 2 of Fortnite. So after Boss Man uses King Chicken as a meat shield and peer presses the pimp to free all the chickens, the pimp then collapses from Boss Man's aura and his hat fell off, revealing a head so horrible that only a mother could love. I can still feel the image that was burnt into the back of my peripheral vision. And luckily for Baldy, little Jimmy was watching, so Boss Man spared him to keep Jimmy's innocence. So as an act of gratitude, little Jimmy grabs Boss Man's balls and they fly off to Chicken Island, an island where people don't eat chickens. And that's cool and all, but I can't believe Chicken King dies but that bald prick gets to live. Bro literally tried to slime Boss Man and little Jimmy as they flew away. Furthermore, this whole backstory just made me realize how much of a victim Chicken King was. Bro was always on the verge of getting slimed by his master and had to develop a steroid addiction just to barely get by. After a bit of time in Chicken Island, the boys find Seven washed up on shore, and Boss Man would have left Seven to die, but since little Jimmy wouldn't leave him behind, the Boss Man helped his first human, and after some gaslighting he trained Seven to fight like Dai Fei in order to turn him into the law-accurate Bob who we know of today. Start of season 5 with Hoop Angel sending Seven into a UFO to grab some stuff, but this time we'll get to see what Hoop Angel's really made of, because he's gonna become Seven's eyes, like Alfred to Batman. Now we just need to wait for 6, 7... Sorry, I won't do that again. Where was I? Now we just need to wait for 7 to reach the hideout in his speedboat. In order to speed things up a bit, he flies at Mach 20 speed to the top of a hideout using the bin bag method. But there's a lock blocking their way in. After Hoop Angel eventually guesses 7's age correctly to stop him getting slimed, he nonchalantly evades all the booby traps like a pro, or a naive fool who just exited the back door. But it's okay, they figured out the next level was below them. All 7 has to do is solve this puzzle whilst poison fills the room. And if you know 7, then you know this could be the last episode of Scissor 7 because bro's missing a few brain cells. Hoop Angel carries again and gets 7 to the next level. And 7 was just about to have an insane fight with this legendary Pokemon, but he cock-blocked us instead by taming it into helping him. In front of 7 is that giant alchemy door, so he crosses the bridge to perform a transmutation, but almost gets his dick cut up by the Grim Reaper himself, who then pressures him like crazy. But then Hoop Angel clutches up by using 1% of his power to heal 7's shoulder blade. 7 and the Grim Reaper are going band for band, and I bet this is how Jake imagined him versus AJ going down, if AJ followed the script. But for real though, these guys are having a straight up Kongrasaki clash. But 7 wins the trade when he grabs the Reaper sword and stabs him. And to make sure 7 really wins, Hoop Angel comes in clutch with the assist, and just before the Reaper clocks out, it morphs into multiple faces and rambles on about the past. So 7 uses his new dagger to open the door, and then past 7 walks past him and whispers something about his man bun making him look like a soccer mom. And then everyone wakes up by the fire. Now I don't know about you guys, but I was pretty confused when this episode started, and 7 kept getting slimed trying to go into some random building for no reason. But I understand it now. At the end of season 4, 7 and Hoop Angel were performing a ritual which involved stripping and holding each other's hands whilst everyone watched them. At first I thought they were doing this for the fun of it, but I guess I was wrong. But at least it looks like Seven can use that sword now. I wonder if he got his memories back. He's still behaving like he belongs on the special boss, so I genuinely can't tell. He tries to aura form in the sunset as well, but then Daibo and Hoop Angel jump him. And to be fair, everyone else couldn't tell if Seven remembers anything either. Can I just say that this realistic dog doctor is killing me? Bro's mannerisms are always hilarious. Like, why are we prescribing 7 antibiotics? It just catches you off guard. But yeah, the doctor explains the memory poisons left his body, so Seven just needs to encounter stuff from his past to regain his memory now. And the good news is that the girl with cancer confirmed the people on Chicken Island are safe, so Seven can go back to John Woo to save his girlfriend. But before Seven does that, he needs to protect these kids from getting kidnapped to Epstein Island by Stan. I guarantee you one of those two paid top dollar to get themselves redacted from the Epstein files. This doesn't change the fact that our childhood hero Winnie the Pooh was caught. It really makes you question, who can you trust? But it's okay, I can be your new hero. I will never lie to you. I will only provide you quality YouTube videos sometimes. So subscribe. Where were we? All Stanians are kid diddlers, including the Prince of Stan. He's not beating the allegations of all that quality time he's spending with the cancer child. But back to the action. Seven noticed the Stanian's white van before Hoop Angel, which is very promising because as we know, Hoop Angel is him. So Seven attempts to slime the Stan duo because of his memories, but Hoop stops him after he disposes of this child. So Hoops lectures Seven and the father tries to interfere again, so Seven snaps for real and erases their van. But what we didn't realize was that the real 10 out of 10 fight was starting right now because Hoop Angel's gonna humble Seven. Seven tries to speed blitz Unk, but he grabs Seven's sword with his dragon claw. So Seven slices up Hoops but gets punished with Hoop Angel's chancla. This fight is really cooking, but it's at times like these where we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, what is Hoop Angel's backstory? At first glance it seems like he's kinda homeless, but not only is he OP, but he also has a mansion in Jeonwoo. Having a house in the big 2025 is a huge deal, let alone a mansion, so I really need to know bro's lore. So let's keep it stepping. Hoop Angel uses his gold and then Seven quickly reacts by socking Unk with the sheath and he spams all the shards straight at Unk, but Unk swirls it back swiftly and makes Scissor question what will he use this power for. And we all know that animation is cooking right now, but it goes even crazier. I wonder what the budget for Scissor 7 is, seriously, and how big of an anime is it really in China and just in general, because it's ridiculous how goated the animation is compared to these other animes. Moving on, Hoop Angel poses the insane animation plus Seven's sword with his toes and lectures Seven about how if he uses his power for evil when he's getting spanked with the sandal for hours, and Seven continues to throw the max by stabbing Unk's hair mid-lecture, but this was just to distract Unk from the fact that there's 1,000 shots pointed towards his back, and at this point all the babying Hoop Angel has done has worn him out, so he needs to end things quickly with his super attack. God damn it, it had a name and everything. They really edged us from seeing the Dragon King reign supreme. That name has so much aura. Seven's having a dream about how 13's hand smells like the 40v1 guy's breath, but then he woke up and it was just Hoop Angel's foot. I respect he's reasserting dominance. This explains to Seven that he should only use the sword a bit because it's killing him. So now that's done and dusted, they can head back to Jeonwoo, and after Hoop sends the duo off with some emergency Zaza, a montage of them exploring Jeonwoo Place. The important scenes to make note of is that Seven should return his sword back to where it belongs if he wants a peaceful life after he's done with his business. And this other scene where Daibo turned into a femboy to find out Plum Blossom Village's location also plays out. So after the duo reenact that one Rick and Morty scene, they get their boarding passes and head to Plum Village. On a real note though, as someone that's been in a Chinese airport before, this is too accurate. No shade to China. I'm sure it's a go-at country. I'd actually love to visit it, to be honest. But the security in China is always doing too much. I watched my comrades get touched up before my very eyes in order for them to earn their boarding passes. It totally wasn't the other way around. Anyways, after some interdimensional TV was playing, a reporter wanted to get to the bottom of who saved Chicken Island from the shadow assassin attack. So she interviews the locals. I must have dementia. I really can't remember who beat White Fox. Oh yeah, it was me. I speed blitzed bro to protect Red Tooth's reputation so we could crack fine shite. Other people start taking my credit by gaslighting the interviewer, like Uncle Chen and the Barber Bros, but they quickly get debunked when they try to promote their businesses, and they're already blown up anyways. This is the price you pay for being full-time risk takers. The reporter's next victim is Red Tooth. Damn, I wish I rewatched season 2 before I made this video. I can't appreciate bro's character development properly. Red Tooth almost unleashed Kurama, so White Fox prepared his ultimate move as well, but Kurama was trying to take over Red Tooth for good, and he wasn't backing down. Long story short, Kurama gets frustrated that Red Tooth is resisting and tries to clap White Fox's cheeks instead. So he uses self-defense on Kurama and frees Red Tooth from his generational mental health issues plus the curse. White Fox was about to finish off Red Tooth, but the Barbers injure his arm, and then the Stan people steal all the glory by kidnapping White Fox to Epstein Island. And in the background, some stream snipers stole Red Tooth's power. I mean, I guess bro, you gotta seize those opportunities, and God knows why White Fox is smirking. He's probably thinking about how he's gonna body that pretty boy when he gets freed from Rikers. So now that the baddie Red Tooth did a favor for us, repenting or whatever, he'll take over as chairman of the Feminist Literature Club because he's gotta build up a reputation by understanding what she's been doing all this time while he's been out and about sliming people. And then after he's impressed fine shite, he can hook up with her now that she's not chopped anymore. The side quests range from giving lectures at nurseries to giving massages to pensioners. At least bro got a new suit, but his hand kept getting injured because he's weak and he can't aggressively goon anymore. He needs a workout routine for real, or else he'll be forced to listen to some old hag ramble on about something that has nothing to do with his job at all, when he couldn't care less. Sorry, I just had to let some of my frustration from workout. Please blow up this video. Bro's hand gets more injured from gooning to this marriage counseling session. You can say he's not gooning all you want, but I will ignore you. Maintaining the agenda is our top priority. And now he's aura forming on patrol in his old fit, and to end off the episode, he starts tearing up because the baddie made a shop about his buns. I guess bro really does have a shot at cracking her. Let's see how Seven's doing. This is what happens if you don't upgrade to business before boarding a sword, but it's okay. Daibo unleashed with his Glock on bro and away they go. I swear all dogs in Scissor 7 are just hilarious. 7 gets scammed so the boss driver can turn up the heat, which he does eventually after he's finished with his Grimace Shake. You can just tell that the boss driver is OP. He's got too much aura. The thumbs up guy is chilling on the sword as well now after getting humbled by a shadow assassin, and he wants to fight 7 to the death. To be honest, I think that shadow killer might have traumatized bro too much. No wonder they had to off-screen him. Shout out to Jason Todd. Thumbs up guy realized he shouldn't be protecting 7 so much because he's probably a chud. So they both do their best to disrupt the boss driver. It gets to the point where they are fighting on the edge of the sword and trying to bust each other's balls. 7 enters the flow state and dodges the first thumb, but he's not good enough, so thumbs up guy gets him eventually, and this activates a flashback. In the past, 7 got bodied by Thumbs Up Guy's master. So the present 7 uses this knowledge to lock in and thumbs up the Thumbs Up Guy's armpit. Getting really tired of talking about thumbs, but you guys don't care. 7 thumbs the Thumbs Up Guy's guts, and Thumbs Up Guy tries to retaliate, but 7 locks him up, and now they're both within kissing distance. We need to acknowledge how zesty this fighting style is, even those NPCs think so. Thumbs Up Guy gets annoyed at his inferiority and straight up knees and headbutt 7. So now the swords are all crashing and everyone's forced to thank the boss driver. We learn more about Thumbs Up Guy's humbling. The shadow assassin said Thumbs Up Guy's master helped 7 mid-jumping, so he's a traitor. And Thumbs Up Guy is too weak to avenge his master. Bear in mind, the shadow assassin said all this while giving Thumbs Up Guy back shots. No wonder bro's so frustrated. Don't quote me on all this lore though. I probably got something wrong because I have a bad attention span. Moving on. Why is Daibo acting like everything's normal when I swear I just just saw him lose his shades earlier. Bro literally spawned in sunglasses from thin air. Thumbs up guy starts using people as weapons mid-air, and Seven retaliates, but he was really just saving everyone, and then the GOAT himself makes an appearance and almost gets Seven to land on the ground. But it's okay now. Thumbs up guy can tell Seven's a good boy because of his fighting style, so he'll stop crashing out. As his master, I wouldn't want to see Thumbs up guy acting like this. Here's some more background footage of me overpowering Seven and eating a banana. I'm such a Chad. Seven and Thumbs up guy vow to have another tickling match or haircut duel after Seven's done with his stuff. Okay then, make sure to comment what other stuff I should make videos on. Like, subscribe, and see you all in the next